to the Massachusetts State House. My name is Matt. If you have any questions today, feel free to ask me. We're going to get started here with a model of the State Capitol building. So I'm just going to go through a bit of the history of the construction of the State House here. This has been the home of government in Massachusetts since 1798, so over 200 years now. It holds both the legislative and executive branches of the government, so the House of Representatives, the Senate, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor's offices here, along now with some other offices such as the Secretary of State, Treasurer, stuff like that. Now, this building was originally built to replace the old State House here in the city of Boston, which was built all the way back in 1713 for the British colonial government. It was used for that purpose up until about 1780 when the Massachusetts government took it over, and from 1780 to 1798 was the Massachusetts government's first state capital. The old State House still exists. It's 10 minutes away from here on State Street here in the city, but the building is quite small. And that's why they decided to build a larger one. They couldn't really fit the whole government in it. So construction started on this building in 1795. It took them 3 years to build. Now, even though this building was larger than the old State House, still was not that large of a building compared to what you see today. The original building was only about 65 feet by 120 feet. So basically only went from either side wall to, from these doors to the 5 steps behind you there. Taking past this 5 steps put me outside in 1798. So that addition was added later on. And because there wasn't too much room, they kind of crammed everything here into this original section. So basically, the bottom floor would have contained some offices, and then behind our front doors would have been Doric Halls, the room we were first able to go back to in the second house, space in the building. While on the second floor would have been our legislative chambers and the executive offices. So directly under the dome would have been the House of Representatives. Over on that side, the Senate chamber, and over here, the governor and lieutenant governor's offices. That's basically what the building had in it. There weren't any extra offices, things like that. Now, the architect of this building was a man named Charles Bulfinch. He was a well-known architect here in the city. That's why they hired him. So today, this original section is sometimes called the Bulfinch front after him. Now, the main feature of this building was the dome. Back in 1798, however, it was just wooden shingles painted gray. Due to the weather here, though, the dome leaked a lot. So after 4 years in 1802, they hired Paul Revere to cover the dome in copper. Now, the copper, very good at keeping out the rain. The one downside is over time it reacts with the outside air and turns green. So eventually it had a green dome. And it wasn't until 1874 they finally covered it in gold leaf for the first time. Cost about $3,000 the first time they covered it. The most recent time they covered it was 1997 for a cost of about $300,000. The amount of gold actually on the dome, if you take it all off, roll it to a ball, really about the size of a grapefruit in total. It's really not too much gold there on the dome. Now, at the very, very top of the building, you see a pine cone. The pine cone is symbolic of the lumber industry we have here in both Massachusetts and Maine. So up until 1820, Maine was part of the state known as the District of Maine before it broke off from the Missouri Compromise. So lumber, very populous here around the area, so that's why they were there. Now, since this original building's completion in 1798, we've had 2 major additions. So everything from those 5 steps all the way to the back of the building was added from 1890 to 1900, so almost 100 years after this original section. It contains about 6 stories, and the House of Representatives was given a new chamber in that addition as well. So they moved out of the original one under the dome to the back part. When they vacated that original room, the Senate moved in there, so today the Senate's right under our golden dome here in the State House. Now, the other addition were our wings. We have an east wing and a west wing. Those were put on from 1914 to 1917, and where most of the offices for senators and representatives are in the building today. But since 1917, not much has really changed. The building's pretty much looks the same for the past 100 years. That's kind of our construction, so anyone have any questions on this at all? Okay, so head in the door call here, talk a bit about the room.